Salam, Sheikh.
Alaikum assalam wa
Shomali and
rahmatullah.
Kampala, for your accepting our invitation.
My pleasure.
We're really, really pleased to have you with us today, and inshallah we'll learn a lot from your workshop.
My
So
pleasure.
Go ahead, Bismillah.
Thank you very much. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah al-aliy al-azim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina wa nabiyyina Abil Qasim al-Mustafa Muhammad. Wa alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. La siyama baqiyatillahi fil aradin. I am very grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving me this opportunity to share this time with you in commemoration of Lady Fatima to Zahra Salamullah alayha. And our topic is Mushaf of Lady Fatima Salamullah alayha. Those who are familiar with hadith from Ahlul Bayt, they know that there is a repeated mention of Mushaf of Lady Fatima in our hadith, and actually in our major collections of hadith like Al-Kafi, this is mentioned. For the Shia, it's very important to know about this Mushaf, first of all because it's a reality, it's a fact that we should know. Secondly, it is one of the things that demonstrate the status, the position of Lady Fatima Salamullah alayha, and some a special way of informing our imams. And also it's important because of some secondary reasons, and that is because of some misunderstandings that have happened for some non-Shia Muslims, and some didn't understand what does this Mushaf mean, and they were puzzled about this, and unfortunately some went to even the position of rejecting this, opposing this, and sometimes even falsely accusing the Shia that the Shia believe that there is another Quran, or there is a larger Quran which is called Mushaf of Fatima, or that they believe that Lady Fatima was a prophet or prophetess receiving wahy. So we need to know what is the reality, and also we need to know how we can clarify this for people who have not understood it properly. Of course, those who are good scholars, even non-Shia, they can easily find out in the Shia sources what is meant by Mushaf here, and they can very easily realize that this has nothing to do with having another Quran or something as an alternative to the Quran, na'udhu billah. So I try to explain first the meaning of Mushaf, and then we will go to our hadith and see what is this Mushaf of Fatima, what is the content of this Mushaf, and something about the size of this Mushaf and who has now this Mushaf. In Arabic language, Mushaf is somehow similar to Kitab, but with the difference that Kitab can have only one page, because Kitab is something which is written, it's maktub. It doesn't need to be always a book with several pages. Anything which is written. For example, if a letter was given from Prophet Sulaiman to the Queen of Saba, that can also be called a kitab. Mushaf means something which has been written but must have more than one page. So this is very important. In the book Al-Furuq al-Lughawiyya, Abu al-Hilal al-Askari says this book is dedicated to explaining differences between similar words. Al-Furuq al-Lughawiyya means linguistic differences. So he says al-farq bayna al-kitab wal-mushaf أن الكتاب يكون ورقة واحدة ويكون جملة أوراق. He said the difference between al-kitab and mushaf is that kitab can be one page or several pages. والمصحف لا يكون إلا جماعة أوراق. But mushaf must be certainly some pages, some sheets of paper, جمع بعضها إلى بعض, that they are combined and put together. In some other books also they have explained that Mushaf is al-qirtas al-maktub. Mushaf is taken from as-sahifa. Sahifa means al-qirtas al-maktub. Today, of course, sahifa means newspaper, but initially sahifa means a paper which has some writing on it, and then from sahifa we have mushaf, which is ma jumi'a min as-suhuf bayna daffaytay al-kitab. When you have few pages together with binding, this is called mushaf. So, is mushaf synonymous to the Quran? No. Mushaf is like a book in English, and it can be used for the Quran, it can be used for other books. It has no meaning of Quran necessarily. Nowadays it has become very popular when we say Mushaf or Mushaf al-Sharif, we refer to the Quran. It's like, for example, today when we say Medina, we mean the city of Rasulullah, Yathrib. But initially, Medina meant Al-Medina, the city. Little by little, the city of the Prophet, Medina to Nabi became Al-Medina. Now when we say here Medina, we think of Yathrib, the city of the Prophet. Otherwise, Medina means city. And even today, you can say Medina, Medina Tehran, Medina London, Medina Paris. So, it is clear now that Mushaf in Arabic means a collection, combination of some papers that are made with some binding like a book. This is Mushaf. Okay, so what is Mushaf of Fatima? Mushaf of Lady Fatima is actually one of the things which has very clearly been explained in our hadith, especially in Al-Kafi, as I said, which is one of our most important collections of hadith. If you go to Al-Kafi, volume 1, page 238, there is a chapter starting from this page and goes on. باب فيه ذكر الصحيفة والجفر والجامعة ومصحف فاطمة عليه السلام. In this bab, in this chapter, Sheikh Kulaini mentions some of the hadith which are about different types of and sources of knowledge that Imams had, including Mushaf of Lady Fatima. So here you find some hadith about the Mushaf, and also you find it in some other books. It's not only in Al-Kafi, but it is important that right from the time of Sheikh Kulaini, this was even as a chapter discussed. So, Let us see what was the root and the story behind this Mushaf. Sheikh Kulayni rahmatullah alayh first mentions this hadith, that a narrator who is very famous, Abu Basir, one of the very famous companions of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, says, "Dakhaltu ala Abi Abdullah alayhi salam." I went to visit Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. فقلت له جعلت فداك إني أسألك عن مسألة ها هنا أحد يسمع كلامي. I want to ask you a question. Is there anyone who can hear me here? He wanted to say something confidentially. فرفع أبو عبد الله عليه السلام سترا بينه وبيت آخر. Imam عليه السلام removed and raised. There was a curtain between Imam and another room. So Imam raised it, and so there is no one there. So he said, Ya Aba Muhammad, sal amma badalak. The kunya then for Abu Basir was Aba Muhammad. Imam said, Oh Aba Muhammad, ask what you want. So he says, I ask Imam alayhi salam certain questions. It takes time if I want to explain all the questions. Basically, it reaches this point. After talking about some other things, then he says, ثُمَّ سَكَتَ سَاعَةً. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam for some time kept silent. ثُمَّ قال, and then he said, وَإِنَّ عِنْدَنَا لَمُصْحَفَ فَاطِمَةَ عَلَيْهَا السَّلَامُ وَمَا يُدْرِيهِمْ مَا مُصْحَفُ فَاطِمَةَ عَلَيْهَا السَّلَامُ. We also have Mushaf of Lady Fatima with us, and how they know what is the Mushaf of Fatima. Abu Basir says, قُلْتُ وَمَا مُصْحَفُ فَاطِمَةَ عَلَيْهَا. What is Mushaf of Lady Fatima? Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, this is a Mushaf which is 3 times larger than Quran, the size. But Wallahi ma fihi min Qur'anikum harfun wahid. But there is no even one single letter from the Quran in this Mushaf. So those who say Shia have another Quran which is larger than this Quran, it has this Quran and more, etc. No, it has nothing to do with the Quran. This is a totally different thing. Quran is revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is the book given by Allah to the Prophet. This is a book, but not Quran, or not, Quran and something else. No, there is no even single letter of the Quran here. قلت هذا والله العلم. He said, I told Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, by God, this is knowledge. Actually, Abu Basir used to say this for previous sources of knowledge that Imam mentioned. And Imam said, إِنَّهُ لَعِلْمٌ وَمَا هُوَ بِذَلِكَ. Imam said, yes, this is knowledge, but it's not the only knowledge. And then Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, ثُمَّ سَكَتَ سَاعَةً. Then he kept silent, and then he said, إن عندنا علم ما كان وعلم ما هو كائن إلى أن تقوم الساعة. Then Imam said, we Imams have knowledge of what is there and what is going to happen till the day of resurrection. So this is the first hadith. In the second hadith, Hammad ibn Uthman says, I heard from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, تظهر الزنادقة في سنة 28 و100. Some people who would be atheist and against faith, they would emerge in the year 128. So Imam Sadiq informed that in the year 128, such people would emerge. And he says, وَذَلِكَ أَنِّي نَظَرْتُ فِي مُصْحَفِ فَاطِمَةَ عَلَيْهِ السَّلَامِ. And he says, I saw this in the Mushaf of Lady Fatima. Hamad ibn Uthman says, I asked Imam, وَمَا مُصْحَفُ Fatima? What is Mushaf of Fatima? This hadith gives you the history of this Mushaf. Imam said, إن الله تعالى لما قبض نبيه صلى الله عليه وآله دخل على فاطمة عليه السلام من وفاته من الحزن ما لا يعلمه إلا الله عز وجل. When Allah received the soul of the Prophet, when the Prophet departed, Fatima salamullah alayha became so sad because of the demise of the Prophet that no one other than Allah knows. She was so sad. فَأَرْسَلَ اللَّهُ إِلَيْهَا مَلَكًا. Allah sent an angel. يُصَلِّي غَمَّهَا وَيُحَدِّثُهَا. This angel, that from some other hadith we know it was Jibra'il, was comforting and offering condolences to the lady and speaking to the lady. فَشَكَتْ ذَلِكَ إِلَىٰ أَمِيرِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Then Lady Fatima said to Amir al-Mu'mineen that such thing is happening, and she complained, shakat. And some commentators have said it means that she was sad that these were not registered, because Jibra'il was informing her about many things and she was sad that this was not registered. So Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam told her, when you feel that this is going again to happen, إِذَا أَحْسَسْتَ بِذَلِكَ وَسَمِعْتَ الصَّوْتِ قُولِي لِي. Tell me so that I come and then write it down. فَجَعَلَ أَمِيرُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ عَلَيْهِ السَّلَامِ يَكْتُبُ كُلَّ مَا سَمِعَهُ. Then whatever Amir al-Mu'mineen was hearing, wrote down, حَتَّى أَثْبَتَ مِنْ ذَلِكَ مُصْحَفًا. Then it became a book. So many times Jibra'il visited the lady in this short period of time that she was alive after the Prophet, that when Amir al-Mu'mineen wrote them down, it became like a book whose size is about 3 times more than our glorious Quran. And then Imam said, أما إنه ليس فيه شيء من الحرام حلال والحرام ولكن فيه علم ما يكون. This is not about halal and haram, it's about what is going to happen. Some kind of information about events and incidents. Also, we have this in another hadith, which is hadith number 5, that Imam alayhi salam says, this is the one that mentions Jibra'il. إن فاطمة مكثت بعد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم 75 يوما. Fatima salamullah alayha, after the demise of the Prophet, lived for 75 days. وَكَانَتْ دَخَلَهَا حُزْنٌ شَدِيدٌ عَلَىٰ أَبِيهَا. She was in great grief and sorrow because of loss of the Prophet. وَكَانَ جِبْرَئِيلَ عَلَيْهِ السَّلَامِ يَأْتِيهَا. Jibra'il used to come to her, not once, not twice. This was something happening frequently. فَيُحْسِنُ عَزَاءَهَا عَلَىٰ أَبِيهَا. Jibra'il was offering condolences to the lady وَيُطَيِّبُ نَفْسَهَا وَيُخْبِرُهَا عَنْ أَبِيهَا وَمَكَانِهِ, was trying to make her happy, inform the lady about the Prophet and the place, the position of the Prophet. وَيُخْبِرُهَا بِمَا يَكُونُ بَعْدَهَا فِي ذُرِّيَّتِهَا, and was informing Lady Fatima about what is going to happen to her progeny. وَكَانَ عَلِيٌّ عَلَيْهِ السَّلَامِ يَكْتُبُ ذَلِكَ. Amir al-Mu'minin used to write this down. فَهَذَا مُصْحَفُ فَاطِمَةَ عَلَيْهِ السَّلَامِ. This is the Mushaf of Lady Fatima Salamullah alayha. So as you see, it's very clear that it's not something as alternative or expanded version of the Quran. There is no issue of prophethood. There is no issue of Lady Fatima receiving, prophetic revelation. It's just a matter of Jibra'il visiting the lady and informing her about some events which are going to happen in future, or the position of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, is this an issue that a person who is not a prophet can be talked to and spoken by angels? No. Actually, the Quran tells us that the angels talked to different human beings who were not prophets. For example, Lady Mary, فَتَمَثَّلَ لَهَا بَشَرًا سَوِيًّا. Jibra'il appeared to Lady Maryam as a complete human being. Or the mother of Musa, or Sarah, the wife of Prophet Ibrahim. They all had conversation. These are ladies and women who had conversation with angels. So this is not exclusive to the prophets. This is a possibility that someone is muhaddath or muhaddatha without being Nabi. Means spoken by angels. But what is important is that she was so high in her rank that someone like Jibra'il used to visit her, and in this short period of time visited her many times. The late Imam Khomeini used to say that in her opinion, this is maybe the most important merit of Lady Fatima. Because even for prophets and messengers, it was not always Jibra'il who was bringing them revelation. Allah communicated to the prophets in different ways. ما كان لبشر أن يكلمه الله إلا وحيا أو من وراء حجاب أو يرسل رسولا. Sometimes Allah talked to them from behind a veil. Sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent an angel. Sometimes Allah directly projected the meaning and the words to their heart. And when He sent an angel, Rasul, maybe that angel was not always Jibra'il. In the case of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the case of the Quran, Jibra'il was very much involved. So many times Jibra'il came to the Prophet, but this was not common for all the prophets and messengers. And now, for Lady Fatima salamullah alayha, who is not a prophet, who is not a messenger, and no prophetic revelation is coming, but she is so much loved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah sends Jibra'il to her to comfort her and to speak to her. This is a special merit, and Imam Khomeini used to say that maybe this is the greatest merit of Lady Fatima salamullah alayha. This Mushaf then was inherited by each Imam from the previous Imam. So after Amir al-Mu'minin, this was with Imam Hassan alayhi salam, then with Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and it's now with Imam Mahdi ajjalallah ta'ala farajahu sharif. To summarize what we have in our hadith about the content, I can mention these things. Some already we mentioned, but let us summarize also this point again, that there is nothing from the Quran. This is one point. For example, ما فيه آية من القرآن, or أما والله ما فيه حرف من القرآن. There is no one verse of the Quran, there is no one letter of the Quran. Or ما فيه شيء من كتاب الله, or أما والله ما هو بالقرآن. So these are different things that we have from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, that it has nothing from the Quran. So what is there? As we said, for example, يخبرها عن أبيها ومكانه, something about the Prophet and his position. يخبرها بما يكون بعدها في ذريتها, was informing the lady about what is going to happen to her progeny. Or Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says there is wasiyya of lady also there in this. In another hadith, Imam says ilmu ma yakun, information about what is going to happen in future. In one place it says فيه ما يكون من حادث وأسماء كل من يملك إلى أن تقوم الساعة. Whoever is going to rule till the day of judgment, their names are here. For example, there is a hadith that some of the children of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, they rose against the Khalifa of that time. And Imam Sadiq said they are not going to succeed because their names are not in the Mushaf of Lady Fatima as people who are going to rule. So this is a summary of different hadiths that we have and different literature that we have about the Mushaf. So we don't believe that there is any other Quran. We don't believe that anything went missing from the Quran. There is anything as remainder of the Quran with Imams. No. What Allah revealed as the Quran is available between these two covers of glorious Quran, and there is no doubt about it. But there are other books that Ahlul Bayt have inherited. One of them is Mushaf of Lady Fatima. It's a book of Lady Fatima, a book known as the Mushaf of Lady Fatima, because Mushaf in Arabic means any combination of few papers, few pages on which there is writing. This Mushaf is the result of Jibra'il visiting the lady after the demise of the Prophet, and then Amir al-Mu'minin writing them down. I hope Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would open to us gates of knowledge, conventional knowledge, and also knowledge which comes directly from Him by His inspiration, His communication. And as Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said to Unwan al-Basri, knowledge is a light that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala projects in the heart of people that He wills. He finds them suitable for this gift. May Allah inshallah grant us this type of light and knowledge inshallah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.